I'm ElyJoz, and you are now in tune to Mind Clarity. Today, we'll be talking about 8 subconscious issues that you might have, and this is a part 3. So if you haven't watched part 2, if you haven't watched part 1, you should go check that out on my channel. But today we're talking about 8 subconscious issues that you might have that you probably don't know you have. Number 1 is if you are subconsciously greedy. And the best way to really see if you're subconsciously greedy is you're not grateful. You're not content with what you have today. You can have a decent life, but if you see somebody else living a better life or have more than you, you start saying you need this or you need that or you need to do this or you need to do that. And you start causing stress. And another way to see if you're subconsciously greedy is if you cause anxiety by overthinking about the things that you don't have. You know, you're supposed to be grateful for the things that you do have in the moment and work towards what you don't have. But a lot of people, they're not grateful for the things that they do have in the moment, and they try to work towards what they don't have, and they focus on what they don't have. So if you're more focused on what you don't have than what you do have, then you're subconsciously greedy. If you're not grateful for what you do have, and you beat yourself up about what you don't have, then you're subconsciously greedy. Because in all honesty, you're right where you need to be in life. You don't need everything at once. You can acquire things as you go. So don't beat yourself up about something you don't have right now. Look at what you do have. Look at the resources that's available to you right now and use that to get what you don't have. But always remember, you're supposed to be grateful for what you do have to be able to acquire more. Because if you acquire more, but you're not grateful for what you do have, the new things that you acquire is soon going to be treated like the things that you have right now. Because now you have it, but you're going to be focused on what you don't have. So if you didn't have a car and you're focused on what you don't have a car, then you get a car, then you might be focused on a better car. But if you're grateful for what you don't have, and I know it might be hard to be grateful for not having a car, but it's okay to be grateful for the moment that you're living in right now. It's okay to be content with the moment that you are living in right now, because you being content right now or you being grateful right now is going to make you appreciate the things you acquire. When you acquire it, you're going to remember when you didn't have it. But if you're focused on something that you don't have instead of what you do have, when you acquire what you don't have, you're soon going to treat it like what you do have. And you're going to be focused on the next thing. And it's not bad to be focused on the next thing. It's just you have to be okay with what you have right now. Be grateful for what you have right now and remove that subconsciously greediness. If you constantly want more, but you're not applauding yourself for what you have right now, if you're not content or if you're not grateful or if you're not happy for the life that you have right now, you're not going to be happy with the life that you acquire, because you're just going to be focused on the next thing. And the best way to overcome that, or the best way to cure that, is just be grateful. Like, be content with life. Accept your life. Live in acceptance. Work towards what you don't have, but always remind yourself that I'm okay with what I don't have right now. I'm just working towards to get it. Number 2 is if you trauma bond. Now, the best way to see if you trauma bond with people is if you meet somebody and they went through similar things or they went through harshful things just like you, and you suddenly became best friends, or you suddenly became friends, or you feel like this person is so cool because they went through something, you went through something, and it's similar or it correlates, and you're like, man, I feel like this person came into my life on purpose, or I feel like this person is a true friend, or I feel like this person knows me so well, or this person fits in my life so well. But the whole time, the only thing that's really figured together is y'all trauma, or the things y'all had to overcome. You know, yes, y'all probably overcame the same things, but ask yourself, how is that person right now? Like, what is the person you are talking to right now? The person you got to know, the person you bonded with, was the trauma that they went through in the past. You have to be able to understand the person in the present, because you might bond with the person in the past, but the present person you might not like. And a lot of times people keep people in their life because they're trauma bonded, meaning they went through the same things, they overcame the same things, or they have a lot of similarities or a lot of hardships, and they keep them in their lives because they feel like they are alike, or they feel like they twins, or they feel like they have a lot of similarities, but in reality, it's just trauma. You're just trauma bonding. So you really have to ask yourself, who is this person in the present? Who is this person in front of me? Not the person that you did not meet. You did not meet the person when they was going through the trauma. You met them after the trauma. So the person that's in front of you, you might not bond with, but since you're bonding with the trauma that they went through in the past, you're going to keep them in your life. And it might just fuck up your life because you're focused on the trauma bonding, but they're a whole different person. And the person that they became might not be positive for you. You know, you can't control how that person overcame their trauma, nor will you know how they overcame their trauma unless they tell you, and they might not tell you the whole thing. So understand that you are bonding with somebody past, but you really have to get to know the person in the present. If the person in the present is not aligned to you, if the person in the present is not positive for you, then you have to let them go. You do not have to keep that person in your life just because y'all went through the same things in life. Just because the past them is aligned to you, that doesn't mean the present them is aligned to you. So really get to know the person that's in front of you. Get to know the person that they are presenting to you today. They might tell you something that they went through in the past and you're like, damn, I went through that too. Maybe we're just alike. No. Everybody has their own trauma and everybody deals with it a different way. So understand that you have to get to know the person that's in front of you, not the person that's behind you or the person that's behind them. The same way you had to overcome your trauma, they had to overcome it too. Nobody knows how you overcame your trauma. You're not going to know how they overcame their trauma. Even if they tell you how they overcame it, they're probably not going to tell you the full story. Because sometimes you have to do a lot of ugly things to get over your trauma, or you have to put yourself through an ugly phase or a harsh phase to get over your trauma. And the person you come out after you get over that trauma, you don't really know or you don't really control. You just live that person. You feel me? You just experience that person. You can't control the person you become after you overcome your trauma. So understand that you have to get to know the person in the present. Stop trauma bonding just because you and a person went through the same thing or overcame some of the similar things. That doesn't mean y'all supposed to be best friends. Or that doesn't mean you're supposed to keep them in your life or you're supposed to have them close to you. You know, you could be friends or you could be associates, but that doesn't mean you're supposed to be best friends or you're supposed to be best buds or you're supposed to be like the right hand person to them or the left hand person. Just because y'all trauma bonded or just because y'all overcame some of the same battles or the same fights, that doesn't mean y'all are meant to be together or meant to be friends. Number 3 is if you subconsciously have the halo effect. And if you're asking what is the halo effect, the halo effect is just when you meet somebody, or you don't even have to meet somebody new. If you have a friend that only has one good characteristic or one good character trait, but they have a whole bunch of other fucked up traits, and you're just holding on to that one trait that's good, and you're looking at them like they're an angel because of this one thing, or you're lying to yourself saying this person is a good person because of that one trait or that 2 trait, but their ratio is like 2 to 10, which means they're 20% a good person, but you're focusing on the 2% or the 20%, and you're looking at them like they're an angel instead of looking at them like they're a fucked up person that they really are, because you have the halo effect. You know, a lot of people don't want to let friends go and they try to hold on to that 2 or that one good thing about them or that one good thing they did for them, but they try to ignore the a million other things that's wrong with them or the million other things that they did that was wrong to them. You have the halo effect. And I feel like the best way to overcome the halo effect is to accept people for who they truly are and examine them fully. You have to examine the person fully. And you have to go through everything. You know, just because somebody's good at one thing, that doesn't make them an angel. Stop looking at people like they are angels because they're good at one thing. And just because somebody treats you good, but they treat somebody else bad, that's a sign too, you know. Stop feeling like this person is an angel to me, but it's a devil to somebody else. No, soon that angel to you is going to disappear and they're going to start being a devil to you. Or they're slowly going to start treating you bad and you're not going to really see it because you're so focused on them being an angel and you're so focused on making excuses and unnecessary shit that is not true. Stop lying to yourself and saying this person is a good person just because they treat me good, but they treat somebody else bad, you know. Number 4 is if you subconsciously don't know your worth. And the best way to put it, if you don't know your worth subconsciously, is if you keep giving more than you receive. And yes, I understand you're not going to always receive the same amount that you give. But if you're constantly giving somebody a lot of energy and they're giving you bare minimum and you're going to keep giving that constant energy, you do not know your worth subconsciously. You might feel bad about limiting your energy to somebody because you care about them, but ask yourself, do you care about you? You feel me? Just because you care about somebody else, that doesn't mean put them over you. You have to know your worth. So subconsciously, if you don't know your worth, you put people above you, or you put other people's needs before you, or you constantly give more than you receive. You can give more than you receive, but you definitely have to come to a point where you're like, I'm constantly giving this person way more than they're giving me. I should stop and start pouring that back into me. Don't let your kind heart or your kind soul or your lightful soul or your positive energy make you feel like a bad person because you stop giving somebody something they don't even give you. You feel me? You're supposed to be able to reciprocate the energy. You feel me? But you're not going to always get the same level of energy you give because not everybody's on the same level as you. But you have to have an eye to really see that this person is not even trying. Like, if this person is not even trying to give you the same amount of energy, or if they're not even trying to give you energy in general, and you constantly giving people energy, you don't know your self-worth, or you don't know your worth. And the best way to overcome that is to ask yourself questions like, what are you getting from you giving this person this? Do this person deserve this? And that's a better question to ask too. Ask yourself, does this person deserve this energy that I'm giving? Does this person deserve this thing that I'm giving? You feel me? Am I going to get something in return? Are they going to even appreciate it? Because a lot of times you give people things and they don't even appreciate it. You continue to give people things, which indicates that you don't know your self-worth. And a lot of times you get punished in life for being too good. A lot of times your God or the creator you serve will punish you because you're too good to people. It's not because you're a bad person. It's because you're too good and you don't know your self-worth to the point where you don't know where to stop at and start pouring that goodness back into you. Number 5 is if you subconsciously don't care about your health or your well-being. And the best way to put it is if you know you're eating something that's bad for you and you keep eating it or you keep buying it, then you subconsciously don't care about your health. Because if your conscious mind is telling you, or if you know in your soul, like, damn, this food is bad for me, but it tastes good, I'm going to just keep eating it, fuck it. You subconsciously don't give a fuck about your well-being or your health. And that is going to bleed into other things in your life. If you do not take that seriously, sometimes you don't know. But if you know this food is not good for you, and every time you eat it, it makes your stomach hurt, or every time you eat it, you start feeling some type of way, or you get worms, or you get this, or it just fucks up your whole, lively system. It just fucks up your whole system up, mentally, physically, spiritually. It makes you feel but you're gonna keep eating it because it tastes good and you don't care. You be like, fuck it, it tastes good. You have to understand that you don't care about your health or you don't care about your well-being. And it will bleed into other sections in your life because if something happened in the other sections, you're not gonna take it as serious. Why? Because you're like, fuck it. It's not that serious. The same way you feel like that food that's fucking your stomach up is not that serious, it's the same way when something is fucking your life up, you're not going to take it as serious. That means you subconsciously don't care about your health, you don't care about your well-being, you don't care about the progress in your life, you don't care about nothing, or you don't care about yourself in general. You really have to take heed to the new knowledge that you acquire. Like, if you know something, like I said, sometimes you don't know and you just do things that affects your body and you don't know. But a lot of people is eating things they consciously know is fucking up their body. It's not good for their body. It's not healthy. It's not bettering their health system, their immune system. It's not bettering their mentality or whatever, their physical body, but they're still gonna eat it. You subconsciously don't care about your body. Once you get your cue, once you get that knowledge, and you very secured in that idea that this is not good for me, then take that initiative to be like, okay, now that I know better, I'm going to do better. Once you know better, you got to do better, or it's going to affect you way more because it's different from you not knowing and you knowing. Once you know better, you're supposed to do better. Number 6 is if you're too focused on the future or if you allow the future to distract you. And I'm going to talk about the thin lining with this one because it's easy to know if the future is distracting you or if you're too focused on the future. But let's say if you're trying to do something right now, or if you're in the middle of doing something and your mind brings you to what you're doing after you do this thing, and you're focused on what you're doing after, but you're not focused on what you're supposed to be getting done right now in the present. You feel me? If you're doing something in the present and your mind just slips to the future, and now you're focused on the future, or now you're focused on what you gotta do after you do this, but you're not focused on getting this done in the present, then you subconsciously allow yourself to be too focused on the future. You're supposed to be focused on the present because the present dictates your future. But if you're focused on the future, you might fuck up in the present, and now your future is fucked up. I'm not saying don't plan out your future or don't plot your future, but don't focus on it, because your future is determined by your present. Your future life is determined by your present actions. So if you're doing something right now that's good, but your mind brings you into the future and now you're focused on the future, now you're having anxiety because now you're focused on things that's in the future and you can't even get to there because you haven't done what you're supposed to do right now, then you're too focused on the future. You're letting the future distract you. If you're working on step 2 in your business and step 5 pops up in your head and now you're focused on step 5, you're too focused on the future. You're allowing step 5 to distract you from step 3. You feel me? You really have to focus on step 3 to get to step 4 to get to step 5. Number 7 is if you subconsciously care about the opinions people have of you or the perception people have of you. The best way to know if you subconsciously care about the opinions people have of you is, who do you think about when you're about to do something? You know, if you're about to start something and the first thing that comes to mind is, what is people going to think about me? Or what is this person going to think about me? What is my friend going to think about me? Or how is this person going to view me? Or how this person is going to view me? Care too much about other people. You're not supposed to be caring about the outside noise. You're supposed to be focused on the inside. So your first question is supposed to be, how am I going to view myself? How am I going to see myself? How am I going to feel about this? How am I going to go about this? You're supposed to be focused on you, not the outside. So the best way to really overcome that is to put your perception of yourself first. Put your opinion of yourself first. You know, whenever you're about to do something and you hear that subconscious voice goes, what are people going to think about you for doing this? Knock that voice out. Cut that shit off. Like, tell it to shut up and replace that question with, how am I going to view myself after doing this? How am I going to feel about me doing this? How am I going to see myself after doing this? Because a lot of people allow other opinions affect their life, you know, or dictate their life. There's people that want to do something to better their life, but they're scared how people are going to judge them, or they're scared how people are going to perceive them. So if that's how you are, then you subconsciously care too much about the opinions of other people. Number 8 is if you are not in tune with your higher self, or your God, or the universe in general. And the best way to really see if you're subconsciously not in tune is if you don't listen to that conscious voice, or if you don't listen to your intuition, or if you don't pay attention to the signs that your God is giving you, or the universe is sending you, or your guardian angels is sending you. If your conscious voice is telling you something and you allow the subconscious voice to validate your feelings, then you're not in tune with that. You know, just because you hear that conscious voice, that doesn't mean you're in tune. You have to be in tune by following the direction that your conscious voice is telling you. If your creator is telling you go a certain path and you're like, I want to go this path, you're not in tune. If your higher self is trying to teach you, or is trying to tell you, or trying to give you an answer that you've been asking, and you're like, I don't like that answer, I'm just going to validate my feelings and go with this answer, you're not in tune. If your intuition is telling you something about somebody and you're like, maybe I'm tripping, you're not in tune. You really have to be in tune. You really have to follow directions, or you really have to be obedient, or you really have to be disciplined to be in tune. Because if not, you're not going to listen to that voice. You're not going to take heed in the direction that the universe is trying to send you. You feel me? You're just going to validate your feelings and validate things that make you feel right. Or you're just going to validate that subconscious voice, because that subconscious voice is always going to make you feel right, or it's always going to make you feel like you're doing the right thing. But that conscious voice is always going to tell you, like, man, you know this not right, right? And you're going to be like, what? it's right, and your subconscious voice is going to be like, yeah, it's right, and you're going to keep doing it, and eventually it might fuck your life up just because you're not in tune with your higher self. Your higher self is always trying to get you to the life that you say that you want. If you say you want to be a millionaire, your higher self is always going to tell you how to get there. But if you don't take heed, if you don't follow the guidance or the signs or the directions that your higher self is giving to you, you're not in tune. If you don't accept the signs that the universe is sending you, you're not in tune. And the best way to overcome that is just to start being in tune. Start taking heed, start listening, and start following the directions that is put in front of you. I do have an extra one. Number 9 is if you allow your mind to remain cluttered, or if you don't take the mental trash out. And the best way to realize that you subconsciously allow your mind to be cluttered is if you have unnecessary thoughts that pop up and you don't get rid of them. You know, I'm not saying you believe in them, but if you don't get rid of them, that means you leaving the trash in your mind. And the more trash you allow in your mind, the more cluttered it is. You know, clear your mind, remove that trash, take the trash out, throw that thought away and replace it with something better. Just because you don't pay attention to that thought, that doesn't mean it's outside of your mind. You not taking it out or you not replacing that negative thought is going to build, and it might come back stronger. And just because it came back, you might feel like it's true, but in reality, it only came back because you didn't throw it away. You put it to the side. Don't put that negative thought to the side. Don't put that clutteredness to the side, because soon all your sides are going to be cluttered. And now you're going to believe that you are a cluttered person. Now you're going to believe that you're a negative person. Or now you're going to believe the subconscious thoughts that come to your mind, because now it's coming back stronger. And now it's coming back with more force. But in reality, if you would have just took the trash out the first time, if you would have just replaced that negative thought with a positive thought, if you would have fling that thought out your mind and get it out there and clear your mind, it would have never came back stronger. It would have never came back in rotation, you know. So understand that if you do not take that thought out of your mind and you just put it to the side, it might come back stronger and you might believe in it because it came back. But in reality, it only came back because you didn't throw it away. Throw that negative thought away. Throw them negative habits away. You know, throw whatever that's negative that come into your mind away. Do not put it to the side. Get rid of it. Replace it with something better. Now I'm just going to do a quick review. Number 1 was if you were greedy. If you are greedy, the best way to overcome that is to be grateful for what you have right now. You have to be content with what you have right now to be able to appreciate what you're going to get later in life. And 8 times out of 10, your universe or your creator or your God is not going to bless you with new things if you're not okay with what you have right now. Because what you have right now was given to you by your God. So if you feel like what your God gave you right now, it ain't shit, they're not going to be happy, or they're not going to be okay with giving you more. Because if you're focused on what you don't have, when you get what you say you want to get, you're going to be focused on what you don't have again. Number 2 is trauma bonding. And the best way to stop trauma bonding with people is to get to know the person in the present. The person in the present is probably not aligned with you, but the person in the past was. But you didn't meet them in the past. You met them in the present. So get to know the person in the present and figure out if they're aligned with you or not. Number 3 is the halo effect. And the best way to overcome the halo effect is to examine the person fully. Stop making excuses because that person is good to you but bad to other people. Stop making excuses because this person did one thing that's good for you, or they treat you good, but then they treat you bad 10 times worse. You know, they might do one good deed for you, but they do 3 bad deeds to you. You feel me? Understand, you have to examine the person fully. Do not stop at where you want to stop at because you don't want to get rid of them out of your life. Examine them fully. Really examine them fully. Give them 100% examine and not 50%, because you might examine them at 50% and you hold them at 50% and you forget about the other 50 that's bad, which soon their badness is going to trickle down into their goodness, and now they're going to feel like they can treat you bad because you kept making excuses for their good side. You feel me? Just because somebody is good to you for a little while and they start being bad to you, stop holding on to that halo effect and stop making excuses for them just to keep them in your life. Let them go, examine them, and if you come to the conclusion like, damn, I probably gotta let this person go. I've been making excuses for them, but they're actually a bad person. Then let them go. Number 4 is if you don't know your worth. The best way to overcome that is to put yourself first. Pour into yourself before you pour into others. And whatever you pour into others, double that and pour it back into yourself. If you bought somebody food, buy yourself 2 times the food. Like real shit. If you gave somebody money, pay yourself 2 times the money. Always put yourself over that other person, no matter who it is. You know, if you do a good deed for somebody, do 2 good deeds for yourself. You know, always overpower what you do for somebody else by doing way more for yourself. You know, that's how you always know your self-worth. That's how you always put yourself first, by never putting somebody above you. If you do a good deed for somebody, always do 2 good deeds for yourself. If you buy somebody food, always buy yourself 2 times the food. Feel me? If you take somebody out to eat, take yourself out to eat. Because if not, you're going to feel okay with giving people more than they give you, or you're going to feel okay with putting out more than you receive. Number 5 is if you don't care about your well-being or don't care about your health. And the best way to overcome that is to start doing better once you know better. Like I said, sometimes you don't know, but once you do know, start doing better. If you know that food is not good for you, stop eating it. If you know that place is not good for your mental health, stop going there. If you know that person is not good for your mental health or your physical health, then stop fucking with them. Cut them off. And yes, it's easier said than done, but if you want to get to where you're trying to go in life, or if you want to better yourself in general, you have to do the hard things sometimes. You know, the hard things make your life easier. But if you do the easy things, it makes your life harder. So understand that you have to do better once you know better. There's a difference between doing things that you know is wrong and doing things that you don't know is wrong. Once you know better, you're supposed to do better. Number 6 is if you're too focused on the future, or if you allow the future to distract you. And the best way to overcome that is to focus on the present. Focus on what you got to get done now. And remind yourself that the future that you're focused on is determined by your present actions right now. And that will make you feel like, okay, I have to focus on right now to dictate my future. Because that's literally how it is. The future that you're focused on or worried about, it all come down to what you're doing right now. What you're doing right now dictates tomorrow, or it dictates your future, or it dictates next month. Like, you really have to understand that the present moment is all that you have. Take advantage of the present moment and make this present moment count as much as you can. Take advantage, appreciate this present moment, and put yourself in the best position to win in the future. If you're focused on winning in the future, ask yourself what you can do right now to put yourself in the best position to win in the future. I'm not saying don't focus on it and don't plot on the future, but don't let it distract you from the present moment. Because the present moment matters more than the future, because the present moment dictates the future. It determines the future. The actions you do right now is going to have the reactions of tomorrow. You feel me? The reactions of tomorrow comes from the actions of today. Number 7 is if you care too much about the opinions other people have of you or the perception people have of you. And the best way to overcome that is to put your perception first. Put your opinion first. Always remind yourself that you matter more than other people. What you feel on the inside is more important than how outside people feel about you. You know, the outside noise is literally outside. You cannot allow outside things dictate what you do on the inside or how you feel on the inside. You feel me? Ask yourself, how are you going to feel about this? How are you going to see yourself? How are you going to go about this? Is this going to make me happy? Is this going to make me joyful? Is this going to make me feel like I'm proud of myself for doing this? Always put yourself before other people. Always put your opinion of yourself and always put your perception of yourself before other people. Because if not, you're going to allow outside noise dictate your life. And you're going to start living in a way that you don't want other people to judge you. But if you put your opinion first and your perception of yourself first, you're not going to care about what other people think of you. Because you already talked to yourself on the inside and you already acquired that security and you already made sure that you know that you're going to feel good after doing this. You're going to feel proud after doing this. So if this person feels some type of way with me doing this, then that's on them. That doesn't affect me. Number 8 is if you are not in tune with your higher self or your God or the universe in general. And the best way to overcome that is to start taking heed and start listening to the directions or start following those signs that is placed in front of you. You know, the universe sends you a lot of signs. Your higher self talks to you. Start listening to that higher self. Start listening to that voice that make you feel like, I really gotta do that. Like sometimes your higher self tells you something, you're like, what the fuck? Is that what I gotta do to better my life? That's crazy. That's probably what you gotta listen to. Whatever contradicts your feelings, it probably is better for you. Whatever contradicts your thoughts, it probably is better for you. You have to be open to that. You have to be open to taking heed in the directions or into the guidance that your higher self is placing in front of you. You have to follow the guidance that your higher self is giving you. You have to follow the signs that the universe sends you. Feel me? If not, then you are not in tune with your higher self. And you're focused on your subconscious mind. And you're so focused on your subconscious mind that you're not listening to your conscious mind. Your conscious mind is your higher self. Your conscious mind is the universe. It's God. So if you're not listening to that conscious mind, you are not in tune with your higher self. You are not in tune with God. You're not in tune with the universe. Number 9 is if you allow your mind to remain cluttered or if you don't take out the trash. And the best way to overcome that is to replace negative thoughts. Not only replace them, but get rid of them. Get rid of it and then replace it. Don't just put it to the side because it's not true. Get rid of it in whole. Like replace it, but you can't replace something that you did not remove. You know, you're just placing a layer on it. Remove that thought, get rid of it, take the trash out, and then replace it with something better. Because if you just replace it without getting rid of it, you're just putting a positive thought on a negative thought. But if you just remove that negative thought in whole and just replace it with a positive thought, you have a positive being. But if you replace the negative thought with a positive thought, but you don't get rid of that negative thought, now you have a negative and positive being. Feel me? So get rid of that negative thought, throw it away, take the trash out, and then replace it with the positive thought. But yeah, I'm ElyJoz. I'm grateful you allowed me to clear a part of your brain today. Peace and prosperity to you all. I'm out.